Corruption, let me go back to 2013. I wrote an article that appeared in the Standard.
Yes.
And it was in, I think, February the 26th, in the Standard, there was an article that says the questions that the presidential debate missed. This was the last presidential debate between Raila and Uhuru and Ruto. You know?
Yes.
If you remember, the elections took place in March.
Yes.
And my argument in that article was that the media did such a mediocre job in only asking, what are you going to do about corruption? And the answer would be something like, well, I'll make sure I end corruption. And that was it. So I went ahead to explain what I think the media should have done by asking further questions, more detail and all that. And as I can take you back to, by the time I'm at USIU, I'm realizing how corruption has become part of the Kenyan consciousness.
Yeah.
It is accepted as normal. And I'll tell you the story of a student who actually told me, Professor, corruption is here to stay.
Gosh.
And I listened and told him, first of all, corruption is not a creature that says, hey, I'm corruption, I'm here to stay. It is the mindset of our society that is so backward.
Yeah.
And the question is, if everybody knows that all you have to do is to steal, what does that mean? And I can give you instances. You know, stealing and corruption are one and the same.
Yeah.
I had my prescription glasses stolen in a bus. USIU had a bus from Jibanji Gardens to take me to school.
Yeah.
And in that bus, I left my glasses there accidentally and I never saw them.
Gosh.
I've gone to school several times. I come back, I'm showering to come and change, and my swimsuit is gone.
Gosh.
And what is most interesting is when I ask students, has anybody seen this? I had a swimsuit is missing. And they will all go like, I think that I've just found a new owner.
Gosh.
So notice the role of language in justifying that which is
Yeah.
by saying they found a new owner. Because what it tells you is that Kenya, our consciousness has shifted to a point where corruption is totally normal, and
Very
those
sad.
who don't engage in corruption are the ones who are seen as being wrong, and those who are engaging are seen as being right. And they use the word, bwana umepata kazi nzuri hapa, usikalie masikio. Make sure you do something for yourself.
My goodness.
And that, to me, that so we have gone so far back.
We have.
It's going to take a lot to be a real leader who understands to explain some of these things the way some young people are explaining, like Morara Sebase, who has been out there to show
Yes.
how much money was plucked for this project and see what has happened.
Yes.
And I think that when you talk about corruption in Kenya, seeing it from that psychological state, it is going to take more than simply saying that corruption is bad or having new laws.
Indeed.
Even if you have new laws, they are circumvented by the fact that even the judiciary itself can accept bribes, even the police can accept bribes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And
you see?
Yeah, you get an accident.
Yeah, I was just
give you an example of corruption.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, you get into an accident. I had an accident one time. It is very clear this person was on the wrong. Police officer comes there. He's supposed to make that determination the way I understood it from America. You know, you go to America, you have culture shock in America. You come back in Kenya, then you have a new culture shock because for the 30 years I lived in the US.
Yes.
I had now acquired new template, so now I'm struggling with the
yes.
back to the Kenyan side. So the officer tells me, "Simkae pale msikilizane."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm telling him, officer, you are the traffic guy. Your job is to determine who is right and who is wrong.
Yes.
And you write the wrong person, so that if I appear in court as a witness, that will be okay. And he's like, anashikilia kitambulisho yako. He's thinking of how to tell you, I need some money.
Yeah.
And I told this story to a colleague, and she told me, guess what happened to me? I had an accident. The guy hit my car. The police officer tells us to go to the police station with him, and we follow him. And I get there. the guy who had hit me is coming out of the police station because he drove faster and got there sooner. And then when I get there, they tell me, well, we don't really have a good case, and the guy has left because he already bribed them. And she spent 6,000 shillings to repair her car.
My gosh. No, the system is broken.
Yeah.
The system was broken. And, I'm thinking what we must do, all of us people of good conscience, is to be role model to every person and to be a cop to each of us about how to behave.
Yes.
I'll give you 2 examples.
Yes.
We have a farm, like a farm where we plant things and have animals and so on. Yeah. A couple of the managers have left us because, and then we find out later that they say there is no murupurupu in our farm, meaning there's nothing to steal and sell on the side. So, and that is that's the culture of corruption. Another example is one of our workers went to buy tomatoes, and we gave him money for 1 pack of tomatoes, which is 100 shillings. And he came back with 2 packs, and I said, what happened? He said, well, I ended up with 2 because the other guy, the guy who was showing me, did not take the second pack. And I said, did you pay him 200 shillings? He says, no. I said, but do you understand that whoever he was selling for is going to take that money from him? So I told him, let me give you money to go give him, but I remembered, no, I will take that money myself. So I told him, I will take the money to this guy myself because he will be short. So we have to teach these young people that it's wrong. It's not right to just take 2 packs of tomato, pay 100 shillings, bring that extra tomato home thinking you'll please me. I'm not going to be pleased with that because you stole that pack. Yeah. We can't allow that. And then the workers that we have to make circumstances so tight that they understand that there's no murupurupu. You're working here, you're well paid, and you're not going to get that extra thing to sell or to steal. Yes, they steal equipment all the time, but they also want where they get cash also. But when I say yes, they steal equipment all the time, I'm not saying yes, it's good for them to steal my equipment, but I'm saying to say that we all have to monitor each other, those of us of good conscience, in order to get rid of this animal called corruption, which is quote unquote here to stay. It's not, it shouldn't be.
Yeah. I see corruption in Kenya. I could use the analogy of paraffin. When you have a newspaper and you put a drop of paraffin, you can see it spreading.
Yeah.
And everything is soaked, and you'll not even be able to read that newspaper because the numbers and everything is corrupt.
Yeah.
By the paraffin.
And the smell.
And I see Kenya, and I see Kenya as being stuck in that state.
Yeah.
Because I think over the years, the praises that people get for having stolen money and came up with big projects that they can't even account for has become a badge of honor.
Unfortunately.
And when you are trying to, So this is one thing that I've observed. I've been here for 12 years now, going to the 13th year. The way people think in Kenya, some of them, and I say majority, is that it's okay to steal as long as you are not caught.
Terrible.
And it is wrong to steal when the opportunity is there. And what they fail to understand is that when you steal, you have limited resources, and many things that you are praying for cannot be accomplished because you have become part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I can give you examples. When I was building my home,
yes,
I learned a lot of lessons from that experience, because I didn't just learn about corruption. I learned about the state of the Kenyan mindset that has been shifting over time. The people in the lower level, the ordinary workers, believe very strongly that everybody has something because either they stole, they don't know that people have things legitimate.
No, they don't.
So mafundi, the workers, they come and tell you, hii tunajua, if it's telling you tunajua kabisa, and then you realize they don't know. Anyway, I started building a 2-story house. I get this young man, he tells me he has worked with his father for the last 10 years, and his father died, so he has taken over the family business. And we get the blueprints and all the certifications and the building permit from the county. And guess what happened? He brings me fundis, we start, and what he didn't know is that in the USA, I worked as a construction laborer.
Oh.
I built the domes in my university at George Mason University. When I was in
Good.
the PhD program, I would actually go to work in construction and gain a lot of experiences.
Yeah.
I go to class 9 p.m. when the class is ending, and I'm going home looking like cement. You know? And so when I came here, when we went into building my house, I went on YouTube to confirm how the house has to be. Now remember, I had a building engineer,
Yes.
civil engineer, I had an architect, and I got a supervisor, who then we agreed on how much I was going to pay him for the time he was going to supervise the project.
Yes.
Architect will come every now and then when we have crucial things to do, like when we are laying the foundation and so on and so on. Well, it turned out the architect and the building engineers were a consortium of a clique working together. And so I looked at the foundation and I said, this is not a foundation for us. Are we building? So you know what I did?
No.
I fired all of them on the third day.
Good for you.
I mean, the foundation had already been done, and I think I lost about maybe 50,000 for the cement and all that.
Yeah.
So I tore down everything. I looked for somebody better, and we started afresh.
Good for you.
And as we went through the process, I became more and more aware about corruption every place. You know, I've been plastering. I have a new foreman who has been trained at Ramogi Institute of Technology. He comes in there. Little did I know that he has already colluded with the people who are coming to do the plaster.
Oh.
We are agreeing on, it would have been 75,000, but he has talked to them on the side and said, no, you asked for 100,000.
Oh.
25 will be mine, and I'll give you a share of that.
Oh.
So once I knew that, I fired him as well.
How did you find out? How did you find out that?
I was always very friendly to the people who worked there, and many of them didn't know that I'm the owner because I'm always dressed down.
Yes, yes.
And we even talk about the owner of the house, and they don't know I'm the one.
You guys will be gossiping about the owner of the house, and you're the one.
Yes. So we are talking, and I'm listening to them. Now, I'll give you another example. When I was painting,
yes.
I painted my own home in Wisconsin, and when I moved into Florida, I got a new home. I painted it myself, and I was a do-it-yourself kind of guy, because when I was at Ohio University in graduate school,
yes,
George Mason University, where I was working as a construction laborer and doing other odd jobs.
Yes.
It was a very useful experience, because when I went to Ohio, I became a building manager.
Good.
When the day crew leaves, all the calls, there were 3 apartment complexes of 5 stories each.
Yes.
So when they leave, they need a night manager. When there's a problem with electrical, plumbing, etc., they'll call somebody. So I will carry a pager on me.
Yes.
There were no cell phones then.
Yes.
And I get the pager, call the office, I'll call the office. So building number 3, apartment 327, they have a problem with clogged sinks and the water is not flowing, and I'll go and clog that.
Yes.
Now, the reason I got this job is they saw me as a very hands-on guy.
Yes.
So by being a night manager, I now had a very low rent to pay in that place, and so I managed to do my graduate school living in that place and a fairly low rent, because I was now serving in the evening.
Yes.
I get a phone call at 2 a.m. There is a fire in an apartment so and so. I go there and I find these guys had gone drinking. They came back. They dozed off while they're warming up their food. So plenty of smoke. Fire engine is there. I had to go and open. I had a master key. And so those are the kinds of things I did.
Yes.
So now, back in Kenya, I had painted as a student at Ohio University, painting during summer.
In the U.S., people mostly paint for themselves. In the U.S., most people paint for themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so when I had my own home, I go to the builder's square, and I'm given literature on how to paint. The guy who's showing me the paint will give me more insights, and I became better and better. So I do my own plumbing issues, electrical, and so on and so on.
Good.
Anyway, so here I asked them to pay, they're asking for a paint job. How do I know? I've never seen their job anywhere. I told them, I'll give you one room to paint,
Yes.
and depending on how it is, you get the job or not.
Yes.
And the first bunch did the painting, and I could tell they didn't really know what they were doing, but they've painted before, and they didn't do a good job enough. So I told them to go home. I paid them. And then I got another guy, living room area. I told him, this is your room, the dining area. If you paint good, you get the job. He had asked for the job so many times, so I gave him the opportunity. He did his best. What did I get? I told him he got a B, quite good, frankly. Said, unajua shida hapa kufanya kazi na mtu ambaye anajua. Professor, you are so perfectionist. And yeah, perfectionism is what we aim for.
Yeah.
So I explained to him what he means, and then he gave me the story. Sisi mafundi, our job is if we do something and the owner has accepted it, even when we know it's not good, we are paid, we go to the next job. So there is no professionalism that you can speak of. And talking about corruption, people have learned to get anything, even if it is illegal.
Yeah.
They don't have that guilt feel of, I have to complete the job right as long as they're paying
No
their
pride, to your point, no pride in what they do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, in Florida, I actually refused to pay a guy who did my tiling because he promised to finish on time, he didn't. And in one place, I had to tear the tiles and do it myself because I put a coin and the coin was rolling. The place was not flat.
Yeah.
And I did the tiling myself. I did the tiling in my office. And so I always had this thing that if it can't be done by people and I can do it myself, I'll go ahead and do it.
Especially here, I think it's better you do it yourself because there are many people here, when they do the job badly and you don't pay them, it becomes a complete war. I mean, they just get very angry with you and they want to hurt you.
Yeah.
So here, what you can do yourself, you do yourself. If not, if they do it badly, you just take it as a loss because there's very little else you can do, really.
The good thing that I did was I had a worker who lived with me, and I taught him how to paint, following all the necessary steps that I had known in the past.
Yes.
Do you know, recently he called me and told me, Professor, hatujafunzwa kwa muda mrefu. I wanted to tell you that I have now become a professional painter. Ninaitwa na watu niende kuwafanyia kazi because wanaona how it is. Now, I'm calling you kwa sababu nataka kushukuru sana. You changed my life.
He's a good man. He's a good person.
And when I left in my previous,
to even thank you.
As a renting, there were times you tell me, Bwana sijalipo for the last month, I'm now living on borrowed money. So when I came to build in Kaitaji mtu wa kukaa on the Mijengo, and I asked him, would you like to live? Yeah, he left because those people are treating him like trash.
Yeah.
And now I was able to work with him, build him up. He became a painter, and now he's in the Kisumu area. And he calls me to tell me that he's making money because he has a skill painting, which I've shown him.
I am happy for him, and I'm happy you are doing that, changing lives one at a time and in all different sectors.
Yeah. I realized that the only way you change is first by example.
Yes.
And number two, by showing people that there's an alternative.
Yes.
And you show them there's an alternative and it's viable, it actually works.
Yes.
I do the same with young people here. I had a meeting of 5 the other day. I was working on my road. We are putting a culvert. And so the road department was passing by and I wanted to make sure that we harmonize with them.
Yes.
And these 5 guys who worked there, shifting the fence so that everything will work, they were asking me questions and I sat with them in the evening and I told them that this idea of feeling like all you have to do is to take as much money from whoever hires you is dishonesty. And they tell me, but corruption is everywhere. Everybody is corrupt.
Yeah.
So I asked one of them, how old are you? 33. And you, 29. And you, 30. And how much money have you saved? 0. Why? Well, my money comes into one pocket and out the other, and I have no idea where it goes to. So I told them, now, so what is your future? We can never get anywhere. We are doomed.
Gosh.
I told them, can I tell you a story? Yes. There's a story of a young man who came to do my fence, and it's a true story of my home here.
Yes.
The young man came to do my fence, and he told me exactly that story. He was the son of a single mother.
Yes.
He has never saved a penny. He worked for a Chinese company, and I got to know him because the guy I gave a contact to plant my live fence, where I've got bougainvillea all around.
Yes.
He hired him, and that's how I got to know him. And he told me he doesn't think he will ever amount to anything. So I asked him, how much money has he saved? He said, nothing.
Yeah.
Why? Money comes in, I don't know where it goes. So I told him, well, you are in the right place. I'm going to talk to you, and if you don't change, it's because you have refused to put a new template in there.
Yes.
So I told him, I'm going to give you a free lesson that I give to my students at the university.
Yes.
I told you earlier that I always teach a class on the concept of desire, regardless of what the course is about. I also teach on budgeting.
Yes.
I even did for faculty workshop at USIU on budgeting. I give an example when I was talking about critical thinking and how we use it for teaching.
Yes.
So I asked this young man, first of all, tell me why you can't save. And he says he doesn't know why, because he has lived through this for 5 years. Now, I told him, this is the thing I want you to start with.
Yes.
And if 1 month, if you have saved nothing, then I know you are impossible. One sentence, I want you to write it down.
Yes.
And I asked him, when you put your hand in your pocket and you are about to pay for something, because you have met a guy on the road and he has socks on his shoulder, he's telling you, Bana, rather than promote Bana, Minua, and he's telling these are socks. What do you do?
Yeah.
To your mind?
Yeah.
I say, I don't know, I'll ask you, is socks important? That's a good question. I told him, this is what I do in my class. First, I go to class, I tell them, okay, I know how to handle money. That's what I write on the body, and everybody writes. I know or I don't know. Whatever you want to do with that sentence, just write 2 minutes.
Yes.
And they're all done. They're done writing, and I turn around and tell them, okay, in groups of 4, everybody tells their story, what they wrote without interruption.
Yes.
Talk about it. Okay, 4 minutes are over, everybody has explained. Can you now take a few moments to write down for yourself what have you learned from the other people?
Yes.
And of course, some of them have they had the same thing they had. And of course, I tell them now, each group is going to tell us what you came up with as a conclusion of how to work with your money.
Yes.
And then into groups, I tell them now, have you learned anything from your first group? And have you learned from these presentations?
Yes.
Yes. And now, at this point, I know you are all ready for us to talk about budgeting. And I have a 3-slide PowerPoint, just 3 slides.
Yes.
The first slide is when I need to buy something, I need to ask myself a very important question. What is that question? Anybody? Is it important? Is it necessary? I tell them, you all did very well, but the best question you ask yourself is, will I die if I don't buy this good or service?
Oh, okay. Good question. I never did ask that. I should.
If the answer is yes, buy that thing so you don't die. If the answer is no, that money remains with you.
Wow. I've learned something right now.
Yes, and then from there, I have a small template that gives them a matrix. Something is necessary, and secondly, it is not a luxury.
Yes.
So I ask them, how do you differentiate luxury from necessity?
Yes.
And they are covering that. I tell them the same question: will I die if I don't buy this? So I get them to understand that what is necessity sometimes was previously a luxury.
Yes.
But after you get used to it, it becomes a necessity.
Yes. So now, as we conclude, or we are about to conclude, if not, we can even go to second part. But as we conclude this part, what is it that you would like the audience to know very much that is so important that we need to emphasize at this point?
Number one, our society or our human species is in very serious decline because our own sense of doing things from the selfish standpoint, the desire for me first,
yes,
has gone ahead to kill many of the institutions that are supposed to be keeping us alive. And when I talk about budgeting, for example, it is the desire to show that when you think you are killing the other person because you are taking from them, you are actually undermining your own self.
That's true.
So I want us as a society to start thinking about how we collapse this concept of me versus him or them and come to this point of realizing that I am you and you are me.
Yes.
Because when we do that, every time you are doing something, you are forced to go back to realize that you do to others, do unto others as you like them to do unto you.
Definitely.
Now, I'm not taking this from the Christian tradition or from the Islam or whatever, but from all spiritualities. Because for me, I don't look at religion like I'm a Catholic or a Protestant or whatever.
Yeah.
I look our solution as humans to stop the end of humanity requires that we understand how much we are doing that is counterproductive and how we need to start thinking about life in a manner where one thing connects to the other.
Yeah.
So I like them to start looking at interconnection.
Yes.
Everything you do has implications elsewhere.
Absolutely. Everything you do has a chain reaction to your point.
Yes.
That
yes.
as you have done it, if it is negative, it's going to affect the same person, and eventually it comes back to you, really. We are so interlinked that when you dish out something bad, it comes right back to you. And that is why in our culture, African culture, when you had the education and you had a good fortune, you make sure the children of your brother, the children of your sister, the children of whoever else in the neighborhood, you pay school fees for them, you give them a hand so that the community gets strong. When they get good and strong, well-educated, bring income, your family is a family of income, a family that can help the next family. But somehow there is this terrible decline when it is me and me and me, and you find the people who indulge in this corruption and thieving and stealing are the ones who come out and they show off without shame. When I first came to the US and I would be told how so-and-so has this wonderful mansion and so, and I would innocently, like a typical American, ask, oh, how did they make their money? And everybody looked at me like, huh? So the thing is, we have to have that responsibility of knowing that you just don't take what is not yours. And if you even make what is yours, you've got to share. And this is something we don't seem to, we are losing. And when you say humanity is in decline, we are in decline. And Kenya is getting in decline fast. And that's why the Gen Zs, I got hopeful when I saw the Gen Zs come out and hold us accountable. They held us accountable. They said you can't just be grabbing things and showing off. You know, this opulence, which is really from thin air, based on taxpayers' money. And they were upset about it. And that gave me hope because I know that, my goodness, it's not all lost. We have a next generation that thinks correctly.
There's hope, and when we have people like me and you and others who think in some manner, I think we can restore hope by one example at a time, because the example I was giving of this young man, in brief, after teaching him all that, he has built a house for his mother.
Wow.
I talked to him, he told me the stresses of money have gone because I've now known how to be in control.
Very good.
And he's not the only one I've helped. There's another guy who has a small company here because we have a lot of construction. He is called to the Koroga when somebody is done with one floor, they're going to do the next floor. He brings his team, very well organized team. And I asked to ask him, Rogers, what do you do with your money?
Yes.
You know, now he has a motorbike.
Yes.
Last time he talked to me to show me the picture of the home for his mother in Mumias.
Fantastic.
And he tells me Umentoa Mbali, meaning that I've brought him from far away where he was lost and now he's doing this. So I told him, this is how we change lives one person at a time.
And so each and every one of us, and to your point, each and every one of us, if we really determine to change lives one person at a time, me one person, you one person, can change lives of 20 people. Those 20 people can change the lives of 20 people each or more. And then we may have that hope that we will not completely lose humanity.
Very true. I had a young man recently who has gone back to Nairobi University. He was working in construction and I happened to have given him a lift, only to learn that he had been out of the university for 5 years because he did year 1, year 2, studying math and statistics. No money, parents have alcohol issues. What did I do? In 2023, September, I did a fundraiser opening a WhatsApp group for my community here. The man is from Kitale. He's now gone back to his 4th year because we just finished this September another fundraiser. We bought him a laptop and we paid for his tuition and paid for his upkeep. That's one example. Another example, if a young lady, 25-year-old, married with 3 children, she had a total hip replacement, an injury she had suffered for when she was 13 years. She's from, I think, either Mumias or someplace like that. And I did the same. I took her to Jabe. I told what needs to be done. And I sent pictures to my group and I told them, let's help our community person. She was living in a Mabati house. Now she tells me she's working, she's able to walk. And I think when we reach a level of understanding that when the other person is you, then you know when you are helping that person, you are really helping yourself as well.
Thank you, Professor Wamachofi. You have given us some really key points to go and think of. Your eclectic nature, that the things you've done that are so varied, that are so helpful in many ways than one, is much appreciated. Dear viewers, the professor has just given us a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. Ultimately, he challenged us to make the difference that we want to see. He challenged us to be, each one of us, the mentor of the younger people, to guide the younger people who need the guidance, to make sure that we can be able to change our communities. And in this case, he gave us several examples of what's going on in Kenya, some of which are not acceptable. Just as the Gen Zs reminded us, some of the things we grown-ups do are not acceptable. So we have to learn to add value to our space, to our communities. The professor has also expressed to us and shared with us the culture shock he went through when he went to the United States. As a student, he was already 27, so he was a mature student. And then he came back. He went, of course, to different parts of the US, and while in the US, while at the University George Mason, he learned how to do building. He was building as a part-time job, and that later on became very useful to him in Kenya. And then coming back to Kenya community, where you really have to know what you're doing, people tried to cheat him when he was building his own home, and he was in a position to know when people are lying to him. And it's unfortunate that we both, himself and myself, and many people in our society, recognize that you really can't trust many people. They'll lie to you, they'll cheat you, they'll take away from you. But that is not our African culture. We discussed that too. So let us remember to take care of each other, take care of ourselves, take care of the young ones that are upcoming, take care and police each other to make sure that we don't do wrong things and think it's okay. Like corruption, when people make statements like corruption is here to stay, why should it be here to stay? It's not part of our community. Our community is not part of our culture. We, the African culture, as somebody remarked in 18 something that they have for the first time seen a community where people don't steal, people don't beg, and nobody's homeless. We want to go back to that. Thank you very much. Continue to watch Diaspora Point and subscribe to our channel, like our programs, and share widely. Thank you. Kwaheri. Bye.